Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It has been a minute. I had planned to upload more, but I just didn't. I'm coming to you fresh faced, not an inch of makeup. I look a mess today and I look super tired, and that's because I am. So today, as you can see, reading vlog. I don't know what I'm titling it, but it's probably something along the lines of like genre reading. One of the things that I talked about in my yearly like goal video that I made earlier in the year, I talked about wanting to read more diversely in terms of genre, because I tend to get stuck in my like urban paranormal fantasy moods, which I love urban paranormals, but around the time of like the Goodreads like yearly awards, I'm seeing all these amazing books from different genres that I just like don't step into enough, even though I have read books from other genres that I've enjoyed. I need to push myself more. So in this vlog, we will be trying to hit a couple books in different genres. I know there's a lot of genre blending going on right now, which I adore, but for the most part, we're going to try to stick to like a fantasy book, sci-fi, maybe mystery thriller, horror, literary fiction, or romance, something like that. We'll go with like 4 to 5 books in this vlog. I don't know exactly which ones I will read, but I do have a stack of books right here that I was thinking of. Right now, I am in the mood for horror, so let me get my horror book that I'm thinking of. I am thinking of The Ruins by Scott Smith. I've heard some things about this book. I do think that there is already a film adaptation. I believe we follow a group of like 20-something college kids in Mexico or maybe Central America on a vacation, and they start going into the woods, maybe come across some ruins. If it's Central America, I'm assuming like Maya ruins, and things go crazy. I've heard that there's certain types of horror here, maybe like body horror. It sounds intense, but this is what I'm currently looking at right now. So that is the start of the vlog. Thank you for being here again. What else do I have to say? I am exhausted. I might actually like take a nap already. It's only like noon, but I'm exhausted. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I was gonna film a book haul. I have like 1, 2, 3 stacks of books that I can like haul, but I need to take a nap or something, because I can't do anything right now. My head is like killing me. But yeah, thanks for clicking on the vlog, and I will be back to talk about this one. Hello. So I did finish reading The Ruins. I have an update. It's pretty mid, I'm not gonna lie. I expected to like it a lot more than I did, because most of the ratings are fairly good, but I thought it was just okay. If I didn't explain it well before, again, this book follows a group of like 20-somethings on vacation in Mexico. I think they're in Cancun, and one of the Germans that they know kind of like fucks off to go hook up with some girl in like the very rural like ruins area near where like the indigenous people live. And the other German is like, that's my brother, can we go find him? Like, I don't want to go by myself. And the 4 Americans and one of the Greeks was like, sure, we'll go together. And again, these are just 20-something-year-old on a lazy vacation. These particular Americans are kind of like entering like into adulthood. One of them's going to like med school, the other is like entering the workforce. Like, they are like big grown up in their lives now, and things go crazy, things go wild. Horror, like body horror stuff starts happening. The story wise, it was fine. Like, it's an interesting setup, cool. Like, if you're into like colonial, like tourist themes, I guess, in the story, that's something that might interest you. If you like Mother Nature horror, that's also something that might interest you. However, I think with this book, one of the things that immediately I clocked was like the writing was trying so hard to keep me at an arm's length from the characters. And on paper, the author was doing everything right. Like, he was explaining who these characters were, their backstory, where they come from, like little vignettes of their lives before they get to Mexico. So like, the author does want us to like care and connect to these characters, but there was something about the writing, and this has never happened before. There was something about the writing that I just like, I could not get into these characters. Like, it was very much like icebreaker questions when you go to like university or your first day of class or something. It was just very weird, and I've never read something like that before. Even books that have like incredibly, like, honestly terrible writing, like someone's first like Wattpad writing, like, even them, I feel, try to have us connect to the characters more, but there's just something about this one I just could not with these characters. It took me about like half the novel, which is about 500 pages, Anyways, so it took me about 250 pages for me to care about like 2 of the characters, which both of them were the women in this book. At some point, it was like, okay, I know what's gonna happen. It's not like a bad thing to kind of anticipate the ending for me. That's not something that I like ever knock a book for. But at some point, I knew what was gonna happen. We were just waiting for certain stuff to happen, and it's like, now what? Like, what do I take away from this? Like, thematically, if the point of your story is for me to take away that we need to be more mindful about our lives and how much time we have left, I feel like this premise kind of doesn't help out, because these are 20 somethings on vacation in Mexico. They're constantly like partying and getting drunk, which is like normal. These aren't the first people to ever do that in the existence of ever. Like, I feel like it might have hit harder if we were looking at someone who was perpetually like unmindful, you know what I mean? But some of these characters are going off to med school, like they've done the work, they're just chilling now. So like, I don't know what I'm supposed to take from this story. It kind of felt pointless after a point, and I was just like waiting for stuff to happen. I don't want to spoil anything, but maybe you can like put 2 and 2 together. Also, this book is called The Ruins. I expected there to be ruins. I expected there to be some sort of connection to like the Maya history or the current descendants of like the Mayan people that still exist today. That's something I saw in reviews, was that like, well, the Maya don't exist anymore, blah, blah, blah. The people do exist. The indigenous people still do exist. Just like the society that we knew like doesn't really, because of colonialism. But I was waiting for something like that. This book should have been called One Fuck Ass Hill in Mexico, because that's pretty much where the book took place. Not ruins. It was like not even a mountain or anything, but just like a little like elevated hill that you might go like, oh, let's go take a picture on that one higher ground photo. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like a little hill. That's kind of where it took place, unless I misread the book and it's like more of like a clearing, like in Twilight or some shit. But yeah, it was fine. Sorry for cutting off that last clip like super randomly, where I was talking about the ruins. There was like a lot of weird audio on that one, like more so than usual, so I had to like cut out some parts, so it looked kind of janky when I ended the clip. But what should I talk about first? Okay, so the library. This is the stack that I got. First things first, I did get Shifting Shadows. This is original short stories in the Mercy Thompson Alpha Omega universe, which is a series, urban fantasy world, that I love, by Patricia Briggs. This has just like a ton of short stories. It even has some from other collections. So yeah, I pretty much finished all like the main books in this world. So it's just short stories that I have to read now. So that I got Accept the Dying by Maureen Jennings. This is a Murdoch mystery novel. I do like the Murdoch mystery series that's done over in Canada, and I wanted to try out the book to see if I like it. This is a historical setting in Canada, 1895, and we follow a detective named William Murdoch who like solves crimes. The show that is based on this is very much focused on like technological advancements in the field of like crime, investigative crime and stuff. I don't know like what the framing is for this, like the book series, but that's what it's like on the show, so we'll see if I like it. And then I got Goddess of Spring by PC Cass. This is one of the authors of that House of Night series, that vampire series that's kind of like a bit ridiculous, but it's like one of my childhood faves. This is, I think, an adult series. It might be companion books, but in this book we follow a character who essentially trades places with Persephone, but then also falls in love with Hades. So I think it's like a falling in love with like Greek gods type of story. I don't know much else about this. It is old, so it might be a bit dated. I think, let's see when it was published, 2004, so a little bit old, but should be fine. And then I did get a stack of T. Kingfisher books. I want to do a vlog where I read a couple books from a specific author, and I thought T. Kingfisher would be a good pick because a lot of their books are short, as you can see. What Moves the Dead, I believe this book is a reimagining of The Fall of the House of Usher. We follow a character who like tries to look for their friend who's like allegedly dying or something. I think there's like plant mushroom horror. And then we have Nettle and Bone. I believe this one we follow a woman who's trying to save her sister from like an abusive prince marriage, and she gets like a group of beings together to do that. It's like some sort of team thing. And then we have The Twisted Ones by Teen Kingfisher. I don't think I've ever really heard anyone talk about this one. This doesn't seem to be the most popular of their works. This one we follow a character who has to go clean up her grandmother's home. Her grandmother was a bit of a hoarder, and she finds things and things get creepy. That's what I got from the library. I've sat with The Ruins by Scott Smith for a while now. Where's the book? And I still stand by my beliefs. If I wanted to be figurative, like maybe The Ruins could be like a reference to the lives that have been lost in this place, but that's pretty generic. I just don't think this author did very good at like hitting the themes that he wanted to. At some point during reading this, it just felt really pointless, so I finished it, but like I got nothing from it. I will say, as I was looking through reviews, I did notice something, and some of y'all have a lack of empathy. The amount of people who read this book, and maybe they were being hyperbolic, but the amount of people who read this book and the reviews were along the lines of, some of these characters are so stupid, they kind of got what was coming to them. Whoa. Being stupid does not mean you deserve capital punishment. Hot take, but y'all are mean. These are 20-year-olds partying it up in Mexico. They did not think that they were going to run into whatever they ran into in here. Y'all scare me a little. I think I'm gonna give it 3 stars for sure now that I've sat with it a little bit. As for what I read next, or what I'm reading next, is Can't Spell Treason Without T by Rebecca Thorne. This is part of the Bramble imprint from Tor, which is like romantasy. I am almost done with this one. I think I have about 100 and some pages left. This book, we follow 2 women who are already in love by the time the story starts. One of them is like a guardswoman to like a really nasty queen, and the other one is like the head mage in this like bureaucratic mage space. And both of them kind of want to leave that very hectic life and move to like a small quiet town and like start a bookshop, a tea shop together. It is fantasy, cozy, all that kind of stuff. I'm not loving it right now, and I'll talk about it later, but that's what I'm reading now. I will come back when I have something to say about this one. I think this one is gonna fall into the fantasy category. I wasn't sure if I wanted to put this in romance or fantasy. It's romantasy, but I'll be back later. Okay, so I'm back. I did finish this book. Did I say I was reading this one? I don't remember what the last update was. This was pretty mid for me. I had problems with the romance. This author starts the romance off already established, and that's kind of a risk. We don't get to see like their first meeting, their first kiss, their first this, their first that. They already love and know each other by page 1, and so we don't grow with them. At the end of this book, because this was, I think, self-published or indie published before it was picked up by a traditional publisher, there was like a prequel chapter added that showed the characters' first meeting in this edition, and that laid down so much groundwork that I was missing throughout the majority of the story. The beginning and the end, I thought, hit some cozy elements well, some romantic elements well. Everything in the middle, like this chunk right here, boring boots. Like, I was not having fun. It wasn't intriguing to me. Here's some fan art of the characters, but yeah, for the most part, it was pretty dull. I think also in this particular book, the author really needed to like amp up the coziness, since for me personally, I know there's no rules about cozy things. I prefer less action, less tenseness, because I think that really cuts through the cozy vibes. I think Legends and Lattes did it probably the best as far as cozy books I've read. Very little conflict, like very little conflict. I'm telling you, there's very little anything in this book. There was like threats and dragons and evil queen and this and that. Now I just wanted to like chill. I wanted these characters to like settle into their community. And that's another thing about cozy books, is that they usually have a community that you grow, like you also get to see our characters become a part of, like with quirky neighbors and things like that, and like a quirky setting. I think the author needed to like amp that up like way more, since cozy is really just like a vibe that you hope that the reader is getting. It's really easy to do cozy if you have like a visual medium, but since this is, you know, words on a page, you're lacking one of those senses, so amp it up, you know. But it was okay. I don't know if I'll read the next books, honestly. This was fine, and you could read on because there's hints of what is to come, but I'm fine with where they ended. I actually think I'm good. I don't know if I'll ever pick up the next ones. Maybe if my library has them, but if not, then I'm good. That's that book. I don't know if I'll count that as like a fantasy, a romance, or just like romantasy. I know it's like a subgenre, but I've read a horror, I've read romantasy. I am either thinking sci-fi or mystery. I'll be right back and show you what I'm thinking of. So for mystery, I have Except the Dying by Maureen Jennings. So I thought maybe we'll try this one for mystery. If not, if I'm in the mood for sci-fi, Annihilation. This is another like plant thing. I've read this before. This would also count as a reread. I need to reread more of my collection. This book is also about a group of people who go to like a secluded area that is really like unknown to the population. I think the government has tried to like explore this area called Area X before, and the expedition teams always like go missing or they die. And I think this is the 11th team, the 11th expedition into this mysterious Area X, and it's an all-female team. It's written in a very odd way. I think some people don't like the writing, and that's totally fair because it's very like, it's a very stylized writing that might just not work for you. I should reread this and then actually continue on, because I only read this once, and I immediately after finishing it the first time, I knew I needed to reread it. So this might also be something to pick up. I will decide which of these I go for. So sorry for like the poor lighting. It's actually kind of cloudy today, so I'm like this close to the window, but I did finish this book, Except the Dying by Maureen Jennings. I said I was gonna pick this one up. I never really gave an update, but this is basically, like I explained before, a detective is trying to solve a mystery about this young girl. She's like 14, 15, who was found dead in the snow without clothes on, and he's like investigating this whole thing. I mentioned how this was eventually adapted into like a really like lighthearted, kind of almost cozy mystery series that really focuses on the advancements in criminology and like solving crimes and stuff like that. This doesn't really have that narrative, at least this first book doesn't. I don't know about the other books in the series. This one is more focused, I think, on the time period and what was the norms for society at the time, different stratuses of society, whether you are someone of a higher class or not. I think that was really the author's focus. There's also some heavy theming of like religion. Our main character is Catholic, and most of the people here are not. So there's always like snide comments made about Catholics, and some people don't know that Murdoch is Catholic and the victim was also Catholic. So there's always just like those elements here. I think that's something that the author put in to kind of try to like set the scene and give it some kind of cultural accuracy. I'm not super well informed about Canada in the 1890s. That's not like my area of expertise, to be honest, but it's something that was added here. And I do think the author at times was trying to like write this in a way that would have been contemporary for the time. Like she's trying to write as close to like if this was published in 1890 and not the early 2000s. I think that's kind of what the author was trying to go for at some moments. Some moments it did feel like something that was published recently, and then sometimes it didn't. So I think maybe that's kind of what the author was going for. But as far as the story goes, I thought it was fun. This is as close to like cozy for me. I have read cozy mysteries before where someone like runs like a food truck or like an ice cream parlor or like a cute little bookstore and there's a murder and it's very like twee and it's very like saccharine, and I personally don't love those. It's too Hallmark for me if Hallmark did like mysteries, but this one is cozy for me because it's very chill. This isn't a mystery thriller, it's mostly just mystery. There were some tense moments at the end, but for the most part it's literally just a detective going around collecting clues and stuff, and that's as cozy as I want it to be. It's very chill, not very like anxiety intense. There was mention of like sexual assault and stuff, but it was never like on paper, and it was very much like as clean as it could be, you know what I mean? So I liked it. I'd give it like a 3.5 stars. I would actually get this book and then like get other copies. I got this from my library, right, like I said before, but I would get the actual books to have because they're, I don't know, they're like, I like them. That's it. This is the mystery book for the vlog. I've read a horror book, I've read a romantasy, I've read a mystery. I think I'm just gonna go ahead into sci-fi and read Annihilation, which I talked about earlier, and just jump into it and get this vlog going because it's been a minute and I want to finish it up. Sorry for the noise. He's not having a good day because it's kind of cloudy and sad, and when it rains he doesn't feel good. So goodbye. So I finished reading Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer. I don't remember what I explained to you about this book, but it is a sci-fi. Like I said before, in this book we follow a team, mostly one person, who's a biologist, and they are part of the 12th expedition into this like very quarantined part, like sectioned off piece of land that kind of just like came about one day. Every expedition ends not good, like people die or they go missing. I liked my reread of this because I think I definitely got more out of it. I don't know what I was doing when I first read the book, but this second time around, I was like, you know what? I'm actually kind of understanding what's happening now. I really took my time with it and really grasped what our character was going through, even though it was very weird. The first book I read in this vlog was The Ruins, which is more horror, like plant horror. This one is more like ecological sci-fi. There's like a hint of like thrillerness to it, but this is still very sci-fi. I do think that the writing here is a bit odd. The book is short, so I don't mind it, but any longer I might have had problems with the writing at some point. It's a very odd style of writing that feels very distant, kind of like The Ruins, but I think this is more intentional. It's supposed to like add to the eeriness of this book. But I definitely think that like if you're interested in the story, maybe like see if you can find like the first chapter or the first couple pages like on Google Books or whatever, to see if it's like up like something that you'd like. Throughout the story we do get these like character vignettes of our main character before she goes off onto this expedition, and I appreciated seeing that character background, but sometimes they were so like oddly placed that it kind of ruined the flow of the story. Like there's a moment when we were essentially seeing this we were in the middle of like this big moment in the story, like 20-30 pages before the story ends, and the author added in a character like flashback vignette, and I was like, please don't put this here. We're in the middle of something in the present timeline, please. I don't know what I rated it when I first read it, but I think a 4-star is good. It really is the writing that you kind of have to be in like a good space for, because like there's just something about it that's so odd. There's nothing too dense or anything about it, but just the writing is not, it doesn't flow well sometimes. I will definitely probably get the next 2 books off of thrift books and finish up the story at some point. As for the rest of this vlog, I do want to end up with like 5 books read in this vlog. I'm not sure what to read next. Part of me wants to read like a straight fantasy because Treason, Can't Spell Treason, that's like more romantasy. I wanted to read maybe fantasy. If not, I'm gonna check my library and see if there's something like literary fiction, more contemporary, that I can pick up. But I will be back and I'll talk about what I'm reading next. But I did finish this and I want to finish up this vlog soon because I'm in the urge to like binge a series right now, and I can't do that because I need to finish this video. So I will be back soon. So I do have an update. I ended up picking up Sourdough by Robin Sloan. I vaguely remember this having a moment on BookTube. Not that it didn't get like its moment in the real world, but I do remember BookTubers reading this way back when. I think this came out in the late 2010s maybe. Either way, this is a book about a young woman who lives in San Francisco. She's like one of the tech girlies, and you can tell that her life is pretty like monotonous. Is that the word? Like she's just kind of going through the motions, and it's fine, but it's very like not eventful, which isn't a bad thing if that's what you want. But one day she does get like this advertisement for a like small restaurant run by two brothers, I believe, and they sell like three things: sourdough bread, a spicy sandwich, and a spicy soup. And that's pretty much what she orders like all day, every day. She becomes a regular, and they know her by name. And then one day the two gentlemen who run this little restaurant out of their home have to leave the country for like immigration reasons, and they give her the starter for the sourdough bread, which I'm really glad that I kind of know how to make sourdough. I don't have my own starter. I tried making one, and I got lazy and it got moldy. I will try to make one eventually, but I made one in the middle of winter and it was too cold for like the sourdough to really like settle. Anyways, doesn't matter. Yeah, so she gets the sourdough starter and she starts making her own bread, and that's pretty much where I'm at. I'm only like a third of the way through. I think this is going to be more slice of life, and it's really going to focus on the things that give us enjoyment in life, whether it's like making sourdough or whatever. But yeah, I'm not expecting big dramatics. I've already kind of tabbed some writing things that I've liked, some things that I don't like. This has like a Harry Potter reference that like would be expected of the time when this was published, but like now it's like 2025 and JK Rowling's like gone on another tirade recently. So besides the point. But yeah, I like it so far. We'll see where it comes down to, but this is very like contemporary like literary fiction with like a hint of like phantasmical vibes. I reached a part where the sourdough was humming like a song or something weird, but we'll see where the book ends and I'll wrap up the vlog. So yeah. Hello, I'm back. That means I finished Sourdough by Robin Sloan, which also means time to finish up this vlog. Before I do that, let me talk about this book. This book is for the quirky people. This book is for people who like a silly, goofy, lighthearted mood. This is very slice of life. There's not like a big climax. I mean, there's some things that happen like later on in the book that I'm like, oh, that's kind of tense, but for the most part it is just one moment in this woman's life that kind of sets her on a different like path, you know what I mean? She starts off as like a very like straight-laced like programmer, and she just goes about the motions. She specifically talks about how she's not even into like different cuisines, so she just eats like protein shakes and shit. And so this sourdough thing completely changes her life in like different ways. It's this big journey for her. I really liked how it ended. I thought it was very cute. I thought it was very, very sweet. There were moments in this book where I was like, is this really happening? Like, I don't want to use the word like surrealist because I've never read like a surrealist book, so I don't want to throw out a term that I'm not sure is like applicable. But there are moments in this book I was like, is this actually happening? Like, is this for real? Because it seems a little far-fetched, but like in a silly like fantastical way, but it's not fantasy, but it felt like it in some moments. It's fine. It was nice. It was cute. It's not bad. I don't know if I'll ever read it again. I don't have to take this off my shelves. I would give it 4 stars. I think it did its job. I think it was very cutesy. I can see why a lot of people gravitated towards it. This is a very like as close to cozy as I can get in like a contemporary, and I don't usually read just like straight contemporary literary fiction type books. It's not really my thing, and I've talked about the concept of cozy in this video a lot already. Overly cutesy, not for me, but like odd quirks, that's cozy to me, and this book had that. So it was good. I'm finished with this vlog. Again, just to remind everyone that this was just mostly to like get some books off the TBR, but also to read different books from different genres, because that's something that I've been wanting to do this year. I mostly end up falling into like fantasy, like urban fantasy, and there's nothing wrong with reading a genre that you just really love. I would never want like someone who just reads romance to like feel like they have to read something else if they don't want to, but I want to. These were the books I read. The Ruins, horror, that was okay. Can't Spell Treason Without T by Rebecca Thorne. Struggled with this one. This is going to be a stand-in, but Accept the Dying by Maureen Jennings. This is the second book. I returned the first book to the library and I picked up the second one. I had a good time. I really like the author's attempts to really like immerse us into this time period, and I like a mystery, and it's like a true like a mystery, not like a mystery and then like random thriller events. This is like detective work, which I like. Read Annihilation, very trippy, like weird stuff happening here, but I will continue on with the series. And then obviously I just talked about Sourdough. that is the vlog. Thank you so much for joining me. Let me know if you have any thoughts about the books that I read. Feel free to talk to me down below in the comments about anything I've talked about. I will also link my social medias down below, as well as the far more important links. Feel free to like, dislike, comment, or subscribe, or do neither. It's all cool with me. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Peace.